You're watching Personal Finance with Coach Kelvin. Let's get into the video. Здравствуйте, trainer Kelvin здесь. Hi guys, Coach Kelvin here. So today I want to talk to you about the conflict that's sort of arising between Russia and Ukraine, how this may affect the markets in both shares, property and crypto, and why it's very important that despite what's going on in the media, if you have a dollar cost averaging strategy, you keep to it and you potentially take this time as an opportunity to keep investing as opposed to avoiding or neglecting the chance to invest money during this time. So I myself have a bit of a soft spot for Russia, and I also send my deep condolences out for the citizens of Ukraine. It's an absolutely horrible thing that's happening right now. So in 2019, I went to Russia to do a weightlifting training camp, and I spent time in Moscow and Sochi. I trained for a whole month there, and I absolutely fell in love with the place. The architecture, the people, the weightlifting culture, the training, everything is just incredible. And my time in Sochi during their winter, so over Christmas time, it felt a lot like a winter here in Perth, so it totally felt like home to me. The citizens were all very welcoming. The people that I got to share the weightlifting experience with welcomed me in, and it was just the most fantastic time. I made some potentially lifelong friends, and they asked me to go back and join them for another training camp in the future. So I left Russia in January of 2020, and then not long after the pandemic happened, and during that time did get a chance to practice speaking my Russian, but since returning back to Australia, I have not had the time, and travel has been on the back burner just due to the fact that in Perth, Western Australia, we've been in these severe lockdowns and we're unable to sort of go and travel around, etc. So we've been locked into our state so that the economy and everything can still function as normal, but we're not actually in a lockdown where we're confined to the spaces of our house, so we're very lucky here. So for me, weightlifting is a huge part of my life. That's what I decided to turn my career into. So now I'm a personal trainer and a CrossFit coach. I get to run classes in weightlifting and CrossFit. I have lots of weightlifting personal training clients, and I compete in the sport myself. I'm not an amazing athlete myself, but every time I travel, I try and learn and bring back some knowledge with me. Now, one of the places I had planned to go in the future was in fact Ukraine. So one of my all-time favorite weightlifters, Alexei Torokhtiy of Kiev in Ukraine, he is just a phenomenal athlete. He won the 2012 Olympic gold medal, and runs these weightlifting seminars. So one of my ambitions was to actually go over to Ukraine and participate in one of these training camps. So it's looking like that's going to be extremely difficult to do now, and my heart goes out to everybody who's involved in this. It's an absolute terrible thing for the citizens, the people living in Ukraine, even the immigrants to have to deal with, and it's extremely scary. It's actually so insane to me that a lot of this war is going to be visible to us over, social media, because, I've seen videos of Russian military members actually posting videos of missiles. I've seen, civilians posting videos of planes flying overhead and all this insane stuff. So it's absolutely terrifying. Now, this sort of news tends to have the power to move markets as people fear what could possibly happen and begin to liquidate assets. Obviously, the supply increases because everyone's selling, and the demand decreases. So this forces the pricing down to still get people to buy, so that these assets can change hands. So if you are somebody who is investing, especially to build wealth in the long term, these sort of short-term drops in the market are an opportunity for you to build wealth. And whilst it is an extremely sad reason that there has been a drop in the market, and by no means should war be celebrated or should war be something you look forward to, you should still invest money if you have some available to do so. So, taking advantage of a 10 or a 20% drop in the market can save you potentially 2 or 3 years of gains you had to wait for if you had just been buying in a lump sum. by dollar cost averaging every month or 3 months or 6 months or a year, you're going to have the opportunity to capture these low points in the market, as well as the growth over the future months in the market and potentially the future years, as everything tends to recover and grow up in the long term. So it's very important that you take this opportunity to continually increase the amount of holdings, even if every week or month when you're adding money to the market, the value of your portfolio doesn't change due to it keeps dropping. Over the long term, it will bounce back and it will recover. Now, I highly look forward to the time in my life where I am financially independent, and then I won't have to worry about finances, and I can live off the investment income that I've been able to build. However, I'm not at that point yet, so any sort of spare income or cash I have in reserves, I put straight into my investments as soon and as quickly as possible, because I want that to compound over time. So when it came to last Wednesday, I actually invested a lump sum of money into a self-managed super fund account, and the next day the war on Russia was announced by the war on Ukraine from Russia was announced by Vladimir Putin, and as a result, I saw almost all of the money that I invested actually disappear based on the drop in value of the portfolio. And whilst that is extremely difficult emotionally to take on board, do you think I panic sold or I freaked out? No, not at all. This money now has the opportunity to compound for the rest of my life over years and years and years, and become something big as it recovers and the value of the underlying assets actually grows. So this money went into 2 index funds, the Australian 300 index, so VAS, and also the MSCI World Index, which contains, the United States, Japan, China, and, this is VGS. So I put like a substantial amount of money into these 2 index funds, and to see the value just be wiped out from the whole portfolio the next day was very scary. But it also is a reminder that you can't time perfectly when to invest. Lump sum investing can be really stressful and scary, and you can ride out some of that volatility using the dollar cost averaging strategy and just adding money to the markets as often as possible with as much as you are able to invest. So what I look forward to doing is, every month when I do my next investment, seeing what the value of the portfolio is. And technically, if the value is not going up month to month, but I keep investing, then I must be getting these units that I'm buying at a cheaper rate. And then over a year, over 2 years, over 3 years, I should see a substantial increase in the value of my portfolio as the value of assets tends to rise with inflation, as opposed to being in debt or cash where you actually lose the purchasing power of your money due to inflation. So holding assets such as property, crypto, and shares during times of high inflation is one way to hedge against the risk of losing the purchasing power of your money. The value of your assets grows, hopefully at a rate faster than inflation, and then you're able to build some real wealth through these times. So, whilst this news about the war that is starting between Russia and Ukraine is extremely stressful, it's extremely horrible, and a lot of people around the world that did not deserve to be put in harm's way have now experienced that. Whilst that is going on, you can still make the most of that circumstance. I also would highly recommend that you try and educate yourself on why these sort of conflicts are so stressful. The cost of commodities goes up, so during the times of war, things like oil, gold, silver, they all become way more expensive. And if you hold a large index fund, then you're going to be holding companies that mine all of these sort of resources. Now, one thing that does actually intrigue me, Ukraine is one of the largest exporters of uranium in the entire world, with a very resource-rich, broad land that they can mine. So with Australia being one of the next places in terms of size and capacity for exportation of uranium, this opens up opportunity here in Australia to potentially invest in that sector and capture the gains. And I do already have a small speculative investment into a uranium company here on the ASX. I'm not going to talk too much about what that is. It is a pure speculation play I made early last year, and it may see some good results from the outcome of this war. However, I would just like to point out that no outcome financially is really worth the loss of human life. So my heart goes out to those who are being affected. I would really love to still make it to Ukraine and get involved in the weightlifting scene there. And I do want to go back to Russia in the future, so I really hope that this is shortly lived, that things can go back to being peaceful between the two states, and the Soviet Union doesn't go back to that dominating era, trying to basically take over everyone and run at full reign. So yeah, I know this is a bit more of a serious and emotional / political video today, but I just want to remind everyone that during these sorts of times there is a real opportunity to create wealth. That 10, 20, 30% drop in portfolio value allows you the privilege of purchasing cheaper shares or cheaper crypto, and able to ride out some of the short-term volatility in order to capture bigger gains in the future. And if you do hold assets like cryptocurrency as well, in terms of overall adoption of cryptocurrency, Russia and Ukraine are actually in place number 1 and 2, nearing on that 35 to 40% of mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency. So it's very likely that there will be further big impacts to the entire crypto market. Yet this actually may also draw more attention to the crypto space and create a little more, I guess, mainstream knowledge, and this could increase the amount of funds flying into crypto assets. So there's definitely potential for growth in some of these asset classes as a result of this war. Historically, war has caused commodities to go up in price, especially oil. So it makes sense to hold an index fund where you do capture oil mining companies, gold mining companies, uranium mining companies, and you don't have to try and time the market. You don't have to try and spend so many hours or so many weeks researching into certain companies and trying to figure out who's the winning play. If the sector takes off, it will move up in the index and you'll capture the gains. If a certain sector fails, your portfolio will be balanced out by the winners in other sectors. So this is an opportunity to keep investing. Follow your dollar cost averaging strategy. For myself, I put minimum of $1,000 every month into index funds. I put about $300 a month into cryptocurrency, and then any other money that I have goes into my properties. So guys, I hope you got some value from this video. If you can, please try and stay updated and educated on this situation that is unfolding. It's extremely hurtful and horrible to see, and I wish all the best to everybody whose lives have been affected by this. I definitely hope to go back to Russia and Ukraine at some point in the future, and I want to get back involved in weightlifting over in Europe, so that would be amazing to do, and perhaps even in the future do a competition over there. So I really hope at the end of the travel restrictions, the war, and everything that's occurring at the present day, we can come into better times where these opportunities are open up to us again. Alright guys, if you got any value from this video, please like, share and subscribe, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video.